Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're going to get started in just one more moment. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming. We'll get started in just another moment. Give everyone another chance to sign in, settle in. Hello, everyone. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. Welcome, everyone. My name is Alyson Weiss, and I'm the Associate Director of Corporate and Executive Education at the Brown School of Professional Studies. The mission of the Brown School of Professional Studies is to equip you with the knowledge, resources, skills, and networks that you need to change the way the world works for good. We know that we tend to spend over 50% of our lives at work, and the way that we lead can have a huge impact on productivity, engagement, and inclusivity. For those of you who have joined us today, thank you. We need leaders like you who want to make a difference, to make the way the world work for everyone. And we're here to be your partner every step of the way. The School of Professional Studies has a full portfolio of programming ranging from master's degrees to certificate programs to short courses like this that teach you in-demand skills through a flexible model that works for you and your busy work lives. So thank you so much for coming today to learn more about one of our programs, Innovation Leadership. Today, I am going to share a little bit about the program, give you an overview of the program, and then we're really lucky to be joined today by an alum of the program who will share a little bit about her experience, and then we are both happy to take questions on the program, the admissions process, and her experience. If you have a question at any time in the process, please don't wait until the end to ask it. You can type and submit your question at any time by clicking on the bottom bar of Zoom, clicking on the Q&A button, and typing and submitting your questions there. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. So first, I want to ground us in why innovation is such a crucial skill, both as a leadership competency and as a job search skill. So it's a skill that will help you stand out in the market and also within your own existing career for promotions and stretch opportunities. The numbers paint a very clear picture. According to Boston Consulting Group, innovative companies achieve 2.6 times higher shareholder returns over 5 years versus companies that are not considered to be very innovative. In addition, 62% of CEOs identify innovation as a top 3 priority for their organization, meaning those are the competencies and skills that they look for when they make hiring and promotion decisions. And on the flip side of that, 82% of professionals prefer to work for companies that are known for their innovative culture. So that means that leaders are looking for innovative talent, and talent is looking for innovative companies. But, and there's a huge but, 21% of executives report that their company does not have the expertise, resources, and commitment to pursue new growth successfully. So we're at this point where there's this huge gap between the need for innovation and the ability to actually implement it. And that is where innovation leadership comes in. This program is designed to help you bridge that gap. We have a couple of specific target audiences in mind when we designed this program. The first is directors and VPs who are shaping your organization's strategy and/or products. Secondly is program and project managers and innovation team members who are leading change at your organization. Third is HR and culture leaders who are looking to foster creativity in the workplace embedded into your organization's culture. And then lastly is you. If you're here today, That means you already see and understand the value of innovation, and we want you to be a part of this program. The program is taught by an incredible faculty lead, Mike Grandinetti. He is also the developer of the content, so he's been involved with this program from the very get-go. Mike is an adjunct professor at the School of Engineering at Brown. In addition, he's a veteran Silicon Valley engineer and McKinsey consultant, and he's been the chief of operations for 8 separate startups. He also has teaching affiliations with MIT, Harvard, and Berkeley, just to name a few. Something I think is so unique about Mike, and something that comes through in the design and delivery of this program, is that he comes to this program with a really unique blend of skills, both having the perspective of being in industry for so long in such a wide variety of roles, and also the perspective of having been a teacher at top tier institutions. So for him, he's going to have a focus from the get-go on teaching you skills that you can apply immediately. You're not going to spend any time on theories. You're going to go straight into the application and the skills. And he's also going to be able to teach it in a pedagogically rich way. So he's absolutely incredible. And I think you would really enjoy learning from him. The program is a 4-week program, and it is fully synchronous and online, meaning that all of the sessions happen live and you have very little homework to do in between. In between each session, you'll have a couple of hours of reading to do to prepare, but otherwise the program is fully live and online. It's meant to be kind of a snack-sized program. We are offering it this time around February 7th through the 28th, so it's coming up quite soon. And the sessions will be offered on Wednesdays from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. The curriculum covers 4 different modules, so each week is its own module. Module 1, you will learn from historical perspectives of innovations that both did very well and we can learn from, and companies that really failed in their innovation approaches and that we can also really learn from. And you'll learn to build an entrepreneurial mindset. By the end of Module 1, you will be ready to be thinking creatively and to take action to make your organization more creative and innovative. Module 2, you'll focus on how to cultivate a creative culture so that you're not alone in innovating. It's really difficult to be the only change maker in an organization and to do that effectively. So in Module 2, you'll learn how to normalize innovation as a part of your team or department's day-to-day routine. Module 3 will focus completely on using ChatGPT in your organization. And that actually came from direct feedback from people who took this course in the fall. We got feedback on the evaluations that said, this is such an important and up and coming tool. And I would love to dedicate an entire class to that. So in direct response to your classmates' feedback, we have added an entire module just on ChatGPT specifically. And then lastly, in Module 4, you'll activate creativity to future-proof your team. You're going to bring it all together to talk about how you go from a blank page to an insight in the innovative and entrepreneurial process. By the end of the course, we commit a certain number of outcomes for you. So these are what you can expect to achieve. First, you will be able to future-proof your organization and your own career by harnessing the lessons learned from historic pinnacle innovations and the organizations that failed to innovate in time. Secondly, you'll learn to leverage disruptions to create innovative solutions that drive growth, value, and profitability. Third, you will update your knowledge on top trends in the innovation space, including and especially how to utilize ChatGPT optimally in the workplace. And you will cultivate a culture of continuous improvement in your team or organization to ensure that this change, this innovation, this adaptability doesn't just stop with you, but is infused throughout your sphere of influence. And you don't have to take our word for it. According to Paul Sullivan, who's the Director of Business Planning and Analysis at Novartis, he says this curriculum is essential for anyone who wants to know what it takes to stay relevant in the coming years. So I hope you're as excited about this program as we are. You know, we have heard so many times that we are living in unprecedented times that the word has almost ceased to mean anything anymore. But it really is true that we are experiencing unprecedented levels of growth, change, and disruption. And this program's goal is to help you harness that and to stay on top of that so that you're actually able to utilize it to move your goals forward as opposed to kind of getting hit by the wave of it and having to react to it. So I think this is a really crucial skill set for every single person at every single level. And I hope that you choose to join us. If you do choose to join us, the enrollment deadline is fast approaching. It is next week on January 24th, and we do have limited seats available. Your next step would be to complete a short enrollment form at the link below, which don't worry, we'll also send to you in a follow-up email. And it is not an application process, it's just an enrollment process. So you give us a little bit of information about you, and then you're automatically into the course and ready to start learning. So thank you so much for being here. With that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen and invite our incredible alum to join us and to answer some questions I have first, but then I also will open it up to all of you for any questions that you might have. We are very lucky to be joined today by Vanessa Miller. She's a technology integration coach at the Narragansett School System, an adjunct professor at the University of Rhode Island in computer science, and a board member for RISD, which is the Rhode Island faction of the International Society for Technology and Education. And she's an alum of the Innovation Leadership Program, having completed it last fall. Welcome, Vanessa. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Allison.
So Vanessa, what initially attracted you to this program?
So our district was tossing around how AI might impact education in general, as well as like how it might impact all of our teachers and our students in the future. And this program was available and it looked like something that would be useful for us. So I had full support from our superintendent to go and participate in this course in hopes that we gain a better understanding of how AI is impacting all industries, not just education, and how we might kind of build a framework for our district or a mindset for our district to continue exploring that and start opening up possibilities for everyone.
Thank you. That's really helpful to hear. One of the most frequent questions I'm asked is who is this program for? What industries is it for? And it's always difficult for me to explain that it's really meant for everybody because every single industry is experiencing change and growth and disruption. And so it's really interesting to hear your perspective having come from education, which might not immediately to an outsider feel like the industry that most needs a technology-driven course. But of course it does because technology is impacting absolutely every sector. So thank you for sharing that perspective. What was the program experience like for you? Can you tell everyone a little bit about the amount of work that you experienced, what the classroom sessions were like? Give us a little bit of a taste of what it would be like to actually be a participant in this program.
Great. So the workload wasn't overwhelming. There was readings previous to each class, which was then followed up with during class over discussions in small groups, with Mike pointing out main points from the readings and digging in further or giving us real world examples that connected to the readings. Each of the sessions were interactive. So it usually started out with Mike giving an overview of the main ideas, and then we were able to discuss as a whole group, as well as in smaller groups in breakout rooms.
Thank you. That's really helpful to picture. I think that is something that Mike is really passionate about, is making sure that everyone has the opportunity to apply what they've learned and also the chance to get to know one another a little bit too, because I think one of the values of a cohort-based program is the connections that you can develop and that you can last past the end of the program as well. I know in some of our other programs, we have some small groups that are still meeting today, a year after the program has ended, which I think is always so exciting to hear. Can you share with us 2 to 3 of your biggest takeaways from the program?
Sure. So for me, this program was a jumpstart and kind of reinvigorated me to dig in further into AI and not push it off because it can be overwhelming, especially with all the other priorities in education. And it moved this to a priority and to really make sure that I understand it so that I could transfer that knowledge to our teachers and share with admin in the district as well. And my biggest takeaway was how to foster an environment for innovation and how my role can influence that piece. So that I feel was a big takeaway. The second was the emphasis and what you just said before, Allison, that AI is affecting all industries, and to pay attention to that and to not push it aside and not wait later to jump in, but jump in now. So that was one of the other big takeaways and something that I've been transferring to others in hopes that they will also start to dig in and not push this off.
That's really helpful. Thank you. I was reminded there was a study that was done in March, so it's probably already outdated to some extent. But what they found in March was that 70% of students, and this particular study was looking at university level, had already used ChatGPT, but only 30% of faculty had. And that is a number that really stuck with me because I think, to your point, so often when a new technology or a new tool comes out, it can feel really overwhelming, and it can feel there can be a temptation to kind of like sit it out. But this is a tool that is very much here to stay, as I think is proven by the number of students utilizing it, which, those students will then graduate and be part of the workforce and be part of the entry level of the workforce. And so I think, to your point, it is the time for us to all kind of build that skill set now. I'm also really curious about something that you mentioned, which was one of your biggest takeaways, was about how to kind of imbue that culture of innovation instead of being kind of that lone change maker. Can you tell us a little bit about like what has that looked like for you?
Really excited about what we've been able to do here in Narragansett. So along with me being able to take this course, we've also recruited a few other colleagues of mine that were interested in AI starting last year and had started doing independent study on their own, trying to figure out what it is for themselves, as well as how it might impact their work. So this group of, I think, 5 other teachers and I also took another course together from ISTU. And with them, I've been able to harness what they've learned and actually incorporate them to help educate the rest of the staff. So rather than me being the only one giving these presentations to each of our schools, these staff members have also been involved and have become leaders in AI in this district. So we've been able to give AI presentations, an intro to AI, what it is, what it isn't, what impact it has over education, more importantly, what it's not going to do and not replace teachers at each of our 3 schools. We're a small district, so we have 1 elementary, 1 middle, 1 high. So that's complete. And that's been really exciting because teachers' responses have been really exciting to see them move from being apprehensive to seeing this as a useful tool in their own practice. And that's where we are at right now, is focusing on how our teachers can harness this tool. And then next year, we might look into how this might work for our students and what are the best tools that might work for them. Moving forward for the rest of the year, I'll be meeting with each of the departments separately to focus on one specific tool that we've partnered with, so that they can start utilizing that in their practice and see what they like best about it, to see if that's a partnership we want to continue next year. And then I believe the end of the school year, starting quite soon, we're going to start talking about building guidelines for use in our district. Right now, our state doesn't have guidelines. So that is something that we would like to build for our teachers for next year, and especially before students start to use any of these AI tools officially in the classroom.
That is so exciting. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so inspired to hear how much you've been able to do already in just a few short months since the program has ended. And I think that there's so much about what you have said that's applicable to, all industries and all roles, because you kind of found your team of champions first and then identified how you're going to use things internally before thinking about how it will then impact the external stakeholders, which in your case are internal as well, because they're students, but like the group that you serve. And that seems like such a strategic approach. And I'm really jazzed to hear all of the work that you're leading. Thank you for being on the front line for that. It's so necessary, especially because, to your point, states and national governments have been a little behind on this. And so we are in a position where, as leaders, we're having to kind of figure out our own rules within our sphere of influence. Can you tell us a little bit about what makes this program different from other courses or programs that you have taken in the creative or innovative space?
So while working with Mike and the other classmates, I was reminded of being back in graduate school, and I have a master's in gifted education and talent development. And our courses were centered around creativity a lot, especially creative problem solving, which is what I felt Mike was invoking through a lot of our conversations and discussions in class. So it kind of felt like I was going back to that mind frame again, which was really helpful for me. I liked that it was bigger picture thinking versus other courses that I've taken that are very specific, to how to use this tool or, how to do that. So I like the bigger picture. I like the outside view, especially being in education. Sometimes you can feel siloed either in your position or in your building or in your district. And this was able to expand my viewpoint outside of just, my district, just Rhode Island, and understand how AI is impacting everyone. And then taking the examples that Mike shared from industry and mulling over how that might work in education. So that was, to me, a really great way to understand how to help us move forward.
I love that. I think that something that Mike talked about when he was developing this course is that because things change so quickly, teaching a specific tool or technology is useful to some extent, and that's why we have a module on ChatGPT. But what's more useful is teaching the skill set of how to evaluate if a tool is right for you, how to implement it strategically, how to have that framework so that the next time the tool comes or the next great thing that comes around, you're in a position to still be able to utilize a skill set instead of being back at ground zero and needing to take a class all over again. So it's exciting to hear that that stood out to you as well, and that is something that you felt like you were able to take away from this program. And you also mentioned the other cohort members and getting to work with them in small groups. Can you tell us a little bit about what was your cohort like and what type of person do you think would get the most out of this program?
I think anyone could get something out of this program, especially if they're looking to kind of expand their viewpoint or if they're feeling a little stuck in where they're at. I think this is, something that can definitely jumpstart movement and change. My other cohorts were mostly Brown staff members. So it was interesting to see their different or talk with them about their different problems that they're facing in their jobs. And we were able to kind of coach each other through our problems. So one of the breakouts that I remember was just that, was posing, here's a problem of practice I'm currently having. Why don't you help coach me through it? And we were able to each share in our small groups. And it was fun to try and problem solve through something that's outside of my normal daily practice. So it was interesting to do that. So, and it was also interesting to get feedback from people outside of this industry.
Thank you. That's super helpful. And yes, your cohort was about half Brown staff people. We do have a good employee benefit where they can take our programs as part of the tuition assistance benefit. The other types of people who are in your program, we had a couple of engineers, we had a couple of people at startups. And I think that was about the size of what your cohort looked like. But I think to your point, it's a really largely applicable program. So I only have one last question that I have written down for you. And so this is a reminder to those of you who have joined us today that if you have any questions, please click on your bottom bar of Zoom, click on Q&A and type in your question. This would be a great time for you to submit questions while we're answering the last question, which is, if you were talking to someone who's on the fence about taking the program, what would you say to them?
It's a worthwhile investment. It's really something that's going to supercharge you wherever you're at, for sure. And I would say go for it.
Thank you. That is so exciting. So now we are happy to open things up for your questions. If you do have a question, click on the bottom bar of Zoom, click on the Q&A and type and submit your questions there. We're happy to take any questions you have about the program or about the experience. And I'm happy to answer questions, and Vanessa is also happy to answer questions about what it looks like in practice, because, it's one thing for me to talk about it from the perspective of having helped to create the content. It's something totally different to hear it from the perspective of someone who's actually experienced it and is putting it into practice. So please send in your questions now. Okay, great. First question that I see here is, if there could be one more module for this program, what would you love to see in that program? And I'll have you answer that first, Vanessa, and I have an idea for that too.
So I see that you added a new module, the ChatGPT module, so I would have loved that one in mine. However, I feel like there's just so many tools out there. So to your point, Allison, like teaching a specific tool, yeah, it gets you to jump into AI for sure. And to understand one tool is to understand how AI works. And then you can go to other tools and experiment with them as well. But I think that would have been a great add to the first my experience.
Yes, thank you. And that we got that idea from your cohort. So thank you. We take the evaluations very seriously, and we do tweak for every single program based off of the feedback we got. So it was your great idea in the first place. So thank you for inspiring us for that. I think if we had one more module, something I would love to see is maybe an entire session that's just a think tank where everyone kind of brings their own problem. Like you were saying, Vanessa, already happens, but I think it would be amazing to do it with multiple groups, so that you'd have the chance to get multiple perspectives, because we are all about application. So I think that would be amazing if there was additional time, but I think this is the right focus for the 4 units that we have. The next question. I was late for the presentation. Will it be offered again? Yes, it will. And also we recorded the session, and we will send the recording out to everyone who registered. And so don't worry about it. You will have the chance to see it again. At a very, very high level, I won't spend too much time on this for those of you who were here the whole time, but I'll summarize that this program is a 4-week program. It is fully online and fully live. So you are doing everything together in a virtual classroom on Zoom. It is 4 sessions on Wednesdays from 5 to 6:30 p.m. Eastern time. So just 90 minutes per session. There's very little reading in between, just a couple hours of reading per week that you come in and then discuss and get the chance to apply. And so the program starts very soon. The deadline for enrolling is next Wednesday, I believe it's the 24th. So if the 24th is a Wednesday, then that is your deadline. And so we would love for you to enroll quickly if you're interested in joining us for this next cohort. We hope you are. It's an amazing program. The faculty lead is incredible, has a deep wealth of both industry and teaching experience that really comes through. And the focus of the curriculum is on the tangible skills that you'll learn. So the skills are things like, how do I have an entrepreneurial and flexible mindset? How do I infuse that within my team or organization or department? And how do I specifically use ChatGPT to do that? So that's a really, really high level summary of what you can expect from the program. And you can also expect a recording from us, so you can review this at a later time. Thank you. It's a great question. So we don't have any other questions at this time. So I will open the floor to you, Vanessa, just one last time to check in to see if there's anything you would like to say that you didn't get a chance to say, and then we'll just close out for the day.
Great. I would like to actually make a point about how great of a professor that Mike is and how personable he is. He does take the time to get to know everyone, even if it is a virtual classroom. And I was able to participate in a not a think tank, but it was an idea-a-thon or a hackathon. I participated virtually at Berklee College of Music, and it was a great experience, and it was a great use of the skills that we learned in class, and being able to apply that to solve some real-world problems with people. So that was a great experience, and that was after the course was over. So it was really nice to be able to do that.
Thank you. It's a great note to end on. I agree. Mike inspires me every time. Something I love about him is he is the most up-to-date faculty member I think I've ever worked with. And I see him sometimes changing his slides moments before the class starts, because he'll have just come off of a webinar or have just read a new article, and he wants to make sure you have the latest and greatest. And I do think that's a really unique feature of the program, is just how dedicated he is to each individual person and to the learning experience as a whole. So thank you for mentioning that, Vanessa. And thank you so much for being here. It is really invaluable getting to hear directly from someone who has experienced the program. I'm so appreciative of you taking the time out of a really busy day, I know, to come in and share about your experience.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.
And thank all of you for joining us today. I know you're also busy, so thank you for coming in to learn more about this program. I hope we get to see you in the virtual classroom. If you have any questions between then and now, don't hesitate to reach out. We'll send a follow-up email with all of our contact information, or rather mine, not Vanessa's. So thank you all so much. Have a great rest of your day. Take care, everyone. Bye.